Hey, we're live. Welcome to this Facebook Live. I want to talk about two things. One, your high electric bill, because of course the Chicago Tribune has weighed in again, and I just want to make sure people understand how late to the party they are on this issue. So we're going to talk about that. And then after I talk about that, I'm going to show you and reveal our brand new DOGE spreadsheet that is online now. It's active. You can go to breakthrough-ideas.com. You can go to our DOGE Illinois webpage, and underneath there, the drop-down menu, you will see our entire spreadsheet, 4,500 lines of grants that are going out the door to all sorts of folks you have never heard of, organizations that are probably more political activists than they are anything, and they are favored constituencies of particular legislators. So you can peruse the entire spreadsheet. I'm going to go over that with you as well. But first of all, let's get back to your high electric bill. Not just like actually Wednesday, yesterday, Tyler Durden, writing in Zero Hedge, wrote, "Brace for soaring electricity bills. Biggest U.S. power grid sets power costs at a record high to feed AI." That would be your data centers. So let's make sure that we understand where the pressure is coming from when it comes to providing power for you and everybody else. Everybody's competing for the limited power that we have, and AI is sucking it up. So I just wanted to make sure that people understood that. Now, he says, just this morning, we warned readers that America's largest power grid, PJM Interconnect, which supplies power to 13 other states from the East Coast all the way into Northeast Illinois. It serves 65 million people across the 13 states, and it feeds, he says, it feeds the deep state central's Loudoun County, Virginia, also known as Data Center Alley. So, which is recognized as one of the world's largest hubs for data centers. So PJM is getting slammed with all these data centers, not just in the state of Illinois, but also, and he says, Loudoun County, Virginia, which is Data Center Alley. Now, as far as this go, what we know is that there's a problem with the amount of capacity that is going onto the grid at this moment. He says, in this case, the payouts to generators for the year starting June 2026 topped last year's record of $14.7 billion, according to PJM, which operates the grids in that stretch. That puts the capacity price per megawatt each day at a record $329.17, up from $269.92. So this is a big increase. In response to the blowout payout, shares of Constellation Energy and Talon Energy surged in late trading. This means those power suppliers like Constellation, which owns the nuclear power plants that Exelon sold off in Illinois, so they own Clinton Power Plant, for example, they're making buku buck with this surge in prices. And he writes, as millions of Americans will very soon learn the hard way, AI data centers are driving the biggest surge in U.S. electrical demand in decades, leading to higher residential utility bills. Now, why is that important for Illinoisans to understand? Because Governor Pritzker's whole economic engine is to give data centers tax credits so that they locate here. Meanwhile, what they're doing is they're sucking up all of our power, causing your residential rate to rise. That's one facet of it. At the same time, Governor Pritzker is limiting the amount of fossil fuel plants that can remain open in the state of Illinois. So we've got a twofold problem in the state of Illinois under Governor Pritzker. Make no doubt about it. This is Governor Pritzker's doing. This is what he has created, your large electrical costs. Let's see here. He says also on this, what else? Oh, I'm going to go instead now to this Tribune article that just came out today. It is their editorial. Soaring ComEd bills have us all on edge. Springfield must confront our electricity woes head on. And in the body of this particular op-ed, they do mention that, we warned in September that state policymakers seemed asleep at the switch in the face of the coming electricity crisis. If we're still not quite at a crisis point, we're considerably closer now than we were even 9 months ago. Well, back when they came out with that editorial berating the fact that we have this energy crisis, I actually went back and said, and I on probably a Facebook Live, certainly in my writings, that how dare you, ComEd, when you were all for CEJA in 2021, when it passed in September of 2021. You just woke up to this fact. You didn't understand what was going on. There are legislators who understood intimately what was going on, and they spoke up about it. I know because I was with them on their energy tour. Now, the last paragraph of this particular Tribune editorial is very concerning because they rightly put the blame on legislators. They wrongly put the blame on all legislators. This is not all legislators doing. This is crony Republicans and all the Democrats doing this. But there was a handful of state legislators who pushed back on CEJA, who have been sounding the alarm about the electrical crisis, electrical capacity crisis for a very long time, and you have not paid attention. Okay, but they wrote, here's another warning for Springfield. The growing public dismay over power bills should be a sign to policymakers that now is not the time for litmus tests and winning plaudits from activists. It's time for hard-headed pragmatism. Nothing will erode public support for groundbreaking clean energy policies faster than rolling blackouts and punishing electric bills. Well, we're already there. We are already there at punishing electric bills. And oh, by the way, you go ahead and take these legislators to task, but you need to say in the same breath that there are legislators down there that have advocated for the right policies, that have told people time and time again down there that we need an energy hearing. I know they hate them, but I love them. The Illinois Freedom Caucus, they actually put together a request, and they got bipartisan support or bicameral support on it. Both they had House and Senate Republicans sign on to a letter asking for comprehensive energy hearings in May, and the Democrats refused to do that. And and you know what? And that information was put out there. It was well known, and the Tribune didn't write about it. They don't seem to care. They don't pay attention to the people who actually want to move grid policy forward. They only want to berate the legislature after the fact. I mean, this pisses me off, to be quite frank. Now, they write, a spike in the cost of energy that took effect June 1st, along with the higher usage of one of the hottest Junes Chicago has experienced, resulted in a $67.28 increase in the average June 30 household electric bill, according to Commonwealth Edison. Well, isn't that surprising? Because in June, when ComEd said that you're going to have an increased capacity charge or supplier charge for electricity, rather, they said it was only going to be 10 to 15%. Well, you know, $67.28 increase is far more than a 10 to 15% increase in the price. I mean, you're talking about a 50 to 75% increase in the cost of electricity, not 10 to 15%. But they go on. Much of the reason for this summer's increase in ComEd rates is due to the spike in the current cost of capacity. The capacity cost will rise another 22% in the year beginning in June 2026 after PJM's latest auction, which is that figure I just gave you, from 269 up to 326. That's a 22% increase. ComEd says that the change by itself will hike ComEd rates by another 2%, raising the average residential bill by $250 per month. Does anybody believe it's only going to be $250 a month? No, because they just lied to you that it was going to be only 10 to 15% per month. It's not. It's going to be much more. And then they go on, politicians and environmental groups, among others, are castigating PJM for the increases and blaming the grid operator for being too sluggish in approving high voltage connections of renewable power sources, such as wind farms, to population centers. Well, the problem there is that it takes a long time to build out transmission lines and all the substations that go along with that. And so they put in this wind and the solar farms, and now they're trying to co-load them very close to a transmission line to get them up to grid. But all the permitting processes, all the regulations that go into that, all of the pre-planning that has to go into that, the supply of it. Listen, my husband builds these for a living. This is what he does. He builds transmission lines. We're talking, this is 3, 4, 5-year projects. I mean, even longer than that to build even 4 miles of transmission line. Granted, it was in Staten Island through a garbage dump. That was a 4-year process to build 4 miles of transmission line because of all the BS, all the unions you have to deal with, all the permitting things between the various constituencies, all the easements you need, all the, can you close this road down or can you not? There is no clean way to do this with all the bureaucracy that has been, built up over decades and decades of mismanagement and bad government. But nobody wants to solve this, apparently. Nobody wants to. And the Tribune, sorry, you guys have no idea what you're talking about. Because maybe if you actually pointed some of this stuff out, maybe they would actually do something about the regulations required to put in new transmissions and substations. Not that I'm in favor of actually, I like the fact that they're slow walking the ability for wind and solar to get to the grid, because I don't believe in wind and solar as the most economical way for us to be using our money and supplying power. I think it's BS. Okay, so then they go on to say, but at least in Illinois, where Pritzker spearheaded the 2021 Climate and Equitable Jobs Act. Equitable Jobs Act. Like, what the hell's equitable? I mean, give me a break. This is such woke policy from the get-go, including the title. The governor owns, okay, they do say this, the governor owns these electricity woes, whether he likes it or not, and whether it's entirely fair. You're right, he does own it. He sure does. He and fellow Democrats in Springfield, with some GOP backing, true, bad GOP people on this as well, undertook a monumental reordering of the state's power industry, preserving existing nuclear plants through ratepayer subsidies and phasing out all carbon-emitting sources such as coal and natural gas no later than 2050. Environmentalists insisted that a large chunk of these gas-fired plants, which for years have been critical to meeting demand during intense heat waves, be shuttered by 2030. That's right. They're shutting down your most reliable, consistent power, and natural gas is very clean. It's very clean. Then they say now CEJA's mandates appear overly inflexible in light of legitimate concerns about whether enough power will be available during heat waves and cold snaps, especially once more of the many planned data centers, intensely power-hungry facilities are built in Illinois. He's right. So, I mean, this is the deal, And then Pritzker's up there basically saying in this op-ed, we've got legislations that's teed up. When we get to the new legislature, I'm committed to getting this passed. It includes energy storage. Energy storage means batteries. For every unit of energy that a solar farm or a wind farm generates, the batteries to actually store that energy cost 9 times more than the cost of generating that wind or solar power. It's enormously expensive. And those batteries cannot hold the charge long enough to be really a backup for a grid level system. They're great for your phone, right? They're great for your flashlight. All right. But they are not meant for grid scale energy transfer. I don't know how many times we have to say this. It's just obvious. It's just physics. You cannot do this. And yet this is what he's going down. This is what he thinks is the solution, is to make you pay for very, very expensive batteries. And of course, who's going to be the beneficiary of that legislation if it passes, and those subsidies if it passes? Goshen, Chinese-backed Goshen. That's who's going to be the beneficiary of his next program. It's not going to be the American companies. And I wouldn't want to be American companies. I don't believe in this stuff. I don't believe that it works. So that's what you're facing. So, your electrical bill, yeah, it's skyrocketing. It's been damn hot and really humid. And fortunately, we do have air conditioning. Aren't we lucky that when the climate changes, and the climate does change, it always changes. And look, it was hotter than this 1,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago. So this is not whatever you think is maybe a heat wave. Truthfully, it's been hotter than this in the last 100 years as well, in the 30s. So fortunately, we have fabulous people that have invented things like air conditioning, and they have given us the power that we have through natural gas and coal to supply the electricity that will make us comfortable and save lives in a hot environment. We should be very fortunate and consider ourselves lucky to have the amount of power that we do have. It's just that they want to use the inefficient power, and they're creating unnecessary angst and unnecessary high electric bills on people. And they shamefully want to continue down a terrible road. And if the Tribune were more honest, and I do appreciate that they put this out, they need to be more honest and name names and be even more precise about what the right fixes are. And the right fixes are not to shut down our coal. It's to keep our coal plants going. It's to increase our gas-powered um, uh, 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 supply as well, and to enhance our nuclear capabilities when it comes to this type of power. That's what we need to do. And the transition energy to a full nuclear system is coal and natural gas. It is not wind and solar. They are niche energy suppliers that will help at certain times. I mean, I admit it. I grew up on wind and solar too, meaning that we always hung our clothes out to dry on the clothesline. All right, on to the next thing, which I wanted to get to because I'm really happy about this. I'm going to just show you this. Hang on, I'm going to present this. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so this is our page on our Breakthrough Ideas website, and it is under our DOGE Illinois tab, and you'll see DOGE Illinois Budget Grants 2025. Now, my interns are still working on 2026. They're nearly done with it, and as soon as we have it done and alphabetized, we will then put this up too. And we've been doing DOGE stories, you know that. DuPage Policy Journal, Chicago City Wire, they've been doing DOGE stories as well. We've been writing about specific grant recipients because we know that you're getting screwed when you start to read what is going on. We know that these are political advocacy groups. We know that these are groups that start out as somebody's great idea and they turned it into a nonprofit. And then when they figured out that there was some money available, they went and applied for a grant and they got it. But now these people are getting like billions of dollars collectively from Illinois taxpayers, and we should not be funding any of this. And neither should DuPage County, and neither should your township mental health board. No, if you actually want to give money to the YMCA, a nationally recognized 501c3, go ahead, do it on your own. I don't feel like I should be supplying the YMCA with anything. Now, okay, a couple things about these grant lines when you go on here, and I want to make sure people understand what is and is not in our spreadsheet. First of all, this table comes from the FY25, last year's budget. Again, we're working on this year's, in a budget document called SB 251. And when I asked my intern to do this over a year ago, over before there was even DOGE, over before President Trump even became president, I looked at the budget and I said, you can't understand this budget unless you put these grants into a spreadsheet. We need to do that. So I had an intern start this process last summer for last year's budget. So I asked her to put things in for grants to nonprofits, grants that used COVID money, because I was very curious how much money was going out the door that was under like state coronavirus relief fund money, because we're like 4 years post COVID. We shouldn't be funding this stuff anymore. And then the other thing was grants to sub-governments that are outside any normal state funding. So that would mean like your school district gets their allotment from the education bill, fine, great. Your city or your municipality gets their share of the income taxes. Higher education institutions get their share from the higher education budget. Okay, that's fine. That is not in here. Instead, what is in here are grants to sub-governments, so not the state government, grants to sub-governments that are outside that normal funding stream. So, for example, Ann Stava Murray bragged in her race last year that, well, I brought home the bacon. I got money so that Downers Grove Park District could put in new park equipment. Okay, so that's a special grant that would be in this allotment. So if you see Downers Grove Park District, it could have been for this. Wheaton Park District got massive amounts of money, which is disgusting. It's got one of the highest tax rates in the entire state for park districts. It doesn't need any state money, yet it got a boatload of money. Why? Because they have a good grant writer, apparently. But this is extra money coming from those grants. That's what you're going to see. So I wanted to make sure that that's clear. It's not all of the budget. It's these three items that I asked my intern to pull out of the budget. What else do you need to understand? That we understand that some of these grants are actually okay. They're good. They deal with the developmentally disabled. They provide help for the mentally ill or the homeless. There's many things. You'll see hospitals that are noted in here. They're giving legitimate care to people. However, these grants, to my knowledge, are not fee for service or Medicaid payment stuff. These are extra grants for infrastructure, for operations, maybe a special program that they're hosting. So you can take that all in context. You can decide what you want with those. I think what people should be focused on, though, is all the money going to these absolutely bogus, euphemistically named things or places like Tri-Town YMCA. Sorry, you're a national organization. Why am I giving it to you? Don't care. How about 100 Black Men? What the hell do they do? How about, I mean, you can just see this. For kids' sake, food pantry. Great, you're a food pantry. Why aren't you supplied locally? Why is the state coming in to supply this to? A Just Harvest, a Knock at Midnight. That's like a violence prevention group. Some of them, like you'll just see nonprofit vendor gets 450,000. If you see stuff like that, that's how it was actually put in the budget. We just don't have any more information other than that. Array of Hope on Earth. I mean, I don't know. Are they at some church organization? Who knows? But, they got $4.5 million. What are they doing? Job training, parent mentoring, all these sorts of things that literally, if you want to run your nonprofit and that's what you want to do, and you want to, and you feel compelled to do that, and that's your vocation or your mission, God bless you. Go for it. It doesn't mean that I feel like there's enough oversight or I feel like it's actually duplicative to other government services. So when you go through this, and I thought it was important to put this entire spreadsheet on, and if you look at this, you'll see the amount of the grant, the organization, their website and Facebook that we could find, and the page in the bill SB 251 that you can find it. And I linked to that bill up top. So if you guys want to check it, fine. That's great. If you find a mistake, let me know. I think it's pretty clean. After School Matters. After School Matters, something everybody loves. It's good, great. Okay, but you know what? Maybe it shouldn't be funded by the state taxpayers in this way. Maybe we should figure out something else. What does After the Game do? Well, they do pretty much the same thing as After School Matters. We have so much money going to these. By the way, maybe you like After School Matters and you wonder, well, how come they're only getting this amount of money? Look how much money we're giving them. I'm just looking at this. We're giving them like $55 million to After School Matters. But is it going to every After School Matters program in the state? Or is it just going to ones in Chicago? Or just ones who's got a friendly legislators? I mean, you can't make this up. You've got chambers of commerce in here. You've got, oh my gosh, will people stop calling me? Okay. You've got like American Legions. Look, I'm a member of the American Legion. Why is the state funding them? I thought this was something that you funded with the dues that I pay, right? That's what I thought. Anyway, so you'll see that. You'll just see a lot of stuff in here. We just basically took it page by page and added in Belvedere Park District. Man, they're getting a lot of money. Belmont Little League. Why am I funding a Little League? Why am I funding the Belmont Little League? What about the Wheaton Little League? Beautiful Angels. What's Beautiful Angels? 31 million to the comprehensive community-based something. Services. Yeah, there's no website or Facebook. That's right. You know what that tells you? Who the hell are they? Like, if you don't have a website or a Facebook or something like that, I'm a little bit suspicious about how legitimate you are as an organization, truthfully, in this time. We've got the Black Chambers of Commerce of Lake County. We've got the Black Chamber of Commerce in general. We've got the Black Abolition Movement. We've got the Black Ensemble Field, Black Contractors, Black Fire Brigade, on and on and on. You could do the same thing with Hispanics, Muslims. You'll find Catholic schools in here, Jewish organizations, you name it. It's all right here. And it's all for you to understand that you are paying, catnap from the heart, $5,000. Catnap from the heart. I mean, just go ahead. We want you to use this. Go ahead and understand how they are using your money. And then the other thing that's important about this, folks, is really important, in my opinion. I'm going to stop sharing here, come back on to StreamYard. The other thing that's really important about this is that, every time that you hear, that one beautiful big bill, oh my gosh, it's cutting Medicaid, it's cutting SNAP funding, it's doing this, it's doing that. You need to remember what else they're funding instead. Where Pritzker has made his decisions to fund, where the Democrats have decided to put their money instead. They rather fund park districts, Wheaton Park District. I mean, I'll beat up on my own. I don't care. instead of the safety net hospitals that are bemoaning, oh, we could see a $5 to $7 million cut. $5 to $7 million. Look through that list I just shared with you. $5 to $7 million cut is the cut that Humboldt Park Health said that they may have as an effect of Medicaid cuts from the one big beautiful bill. 5 to 7 million. It's a drop in the bucket compared to the other BS that you are funding in that state budget. So I think this is really, really, it should be eye-opening to people. And I hope that you peruse it. And I also want you to understand one more thing. When the legislators vote on the budget, they don't see this at all. They don't see any of this. They see, go ahead, I linked to the budget, you read it. It's a bunch of words with some numbers thrown in for this person and that person. Not until you put all this information into a spreadsheet and then alphabetize it do you truly understand that some of these organizations are receiving multiple grants on different pages. And so you can't even total it up. You don't even understand the total of what those people are getting. So it's yours. There you go. We did the work. You've got the information. Now we expect you to hold people accountable, because when they come and they say that they need to raise your taxes, you tell them, hell no. Hell no. That's the only answer in the state of Illinois to a tax increase. I don't care what level of government it is. Hell no. All right. Thanks so much for joining me on this Facebook Live. That's the only answer in the state of